You wake up one morning and realize you've been living for everyone else. Every choice, every gesture, every post, every silence, somehow designed to please, to prove, or to prevent someone else's disappointment. Your heart beats, but not for you. Your schedule breathes, but not with your rhythm. You look at your reflection, and there's this strange emptiness. Not sadness, not anger, just absence, like someone quietly packed their bags and left your soul while you were too distracted to notice. And maybe that someone was you. We lose ourselves quietly, not in one loud tragedy, but in 1,000 tiny compromises. Every time we say yes when we mean no. Every time we pretend we're fine. Every time we shrink a little to fit inside someone else's idea of who we should be. And one day, we wake up in a body that doesn't feel like ours anymore, in a life that feels borrowed, carrying dreams that don't belong to us. You stare at the ceiling, and a whisper rises. Small but undeniable. I can't live like this anymore. That's the fracture moment, the quiet implosion before the rebuilding begins. Rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you were before the world told you who to be. It's about remembering the sound of your own heartbeat, the weight of your own presence, the freedom of not needing anyone's permission to exist. But let's be honest, it's not easy, because while everyone celebrates growth, no one talks about the mess, the confusion, the loneliness that comes when you stop focusing on others and start focusing on yourself. We live in a world addicted to noise, the constant scroll of validation, the digital applause that tells us we're seen, that we matter. And when that disappears, we panic, as if silence means we've failed. We measure our worth in reactions, our progress in comparisons. Someone else's highlight reel becomes our invisible prison. You tell yourself you're rebuilding, but secretly, you're still performing, still looking around, wondering if your growth is impressive enough to be liked, still asking the world, am I doing okay? And that's the trap, that's the loop that keeps so many people stuck. We rebuild our image, not our essence. We rearrange our masks. Instead of removing them, we call it self-improvement. But what we're really doing is self-decoration. Here's the truth. You cannot rebuild yourself while your eyes are still on others. You can't evolve if your focus is external. The foundation of transformation is solitude, the radical act of turning inward. And that's terrifying, because when the noise fades, you meet yourself in the raw, without filters, without distractions, and what you see first isn't always beautiful. You meet your fear, your jealousy, your insecurity, your guilt for not being further along. You meet the echo of old voices telling you you're not enough. But if you stay there, if you breathe through that discomfort, something sacred happens. You begin to hear another voice, quieter, deeper, truer. It says, you're still here, and that's enough to start. That's the first step of rebuilding. Not action, not planning, just attention. To be present with yourself again, to sit with your pain without trying to fix it, to hold your own hand like you would a wounded child, to tell yourself, I'm not broken, I'm just rebuilding. We all fall into the same human loop, the cycle of striving, comparing, chasing. We think peace will come when we finally become someone new, but peace only comes when we stop running. You see, rebuilding yourself isn't about achievement. It's about alignment. It's not about becoming more. It's about becoming real. Think about how buildings are restored. The architect doesn't rush to paint over the cracks. He studies them. He asks, why did this wall break? What was the pressure? Where did the foundation shift? That's what you must do with yourself. Study your fractures. Trace them with compassion. They are not proof of weakness. They are proof of survival. The places you cracked are where the light gets in, and the light is what helps you rebuild. When you focus on yourself, truly, deeply, you begin to see how much energy you've wasted trying to be visible to others instead of being real to yourself. You start noticing how much of your life has been lived in reaction, not creation, and that realization hurts because you can't rebuild without destroying the illusion. First, you can't find peace without facing your noise. But here's the turning point, the aha moment. What if the real problem isn't that you've lost yourself? What if the real problem is that you've been looking for yourself in others? You've tried to find your reflection in relationships, achievements, approval, but your reflection was never out there. It's been waiting in silence. Inside you, you keep seeking completion in movement, when healing lives in stillness. You chase becoming, when rebuilding begins with being. You don't rebuild by adding more to your life. You rebuild by subtracting what no longer fits. It's not about becoming busier or more productive. It's about becoming present. That's the shift. That's where everything changes. When you decide to focus on you every day, something subtle but powerful begins to unfold. Your mind resists at first. It whispers, "You're being selfish. You're falling behind." But your soul knows. It knows that what looks like isolation is actually incubation. Great things grow in quiet places. Think of the seed buried in soil, invisible, forgotten, underestimated. It's not dying. It's preparing. It's rebuilding from within. That's you. Right now, even if no one sees it, even if it looks like nothing is happening, you are becoming. Let's explore this climb, this rebuilding. Lesson 1. Protect your focus like sacred fire. You don't owe your energy to every notification, every request, every distraction. Focus is the oxygen of your rebirth, and every time you give it away freely, you suffocate your own growth. The greatest people, those who truly rebuilt themselves, learned how to say no, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Michael Jordan didn't become a legend because he did everything. He became one because he decided what deserved his attention. He knew that focus was finite, and he guarded it fiercely. When you start focusing on you, you'll lose people, not because you're cruel, but because you're no longer convenient. And that's okay. You can't rebuild in a room full of noise. Sometimes solitude isn't loneliness. It's sacred renovation. Every no you say to the world is a yes whispered to your soul. Lesson 2. Detach from outcomes. Connect with effort. So many people give up on rebuilding because they can't see immediate results. They measure progress like they measure likes, constantly refreshing the screen of their lives, desperate for validation. But real rebuilding happens in the dark, in unseen, uncelebrated hours. It's the consistency of small acts, reading 1 more page, meditating 5 more minutes, choosing silence instead of argument. Think of Kobe Bryant. His Mamba mentality wasn't T-born in stadiums. It was born in empty gyms at 4 a.m. No audience, no applause, just focus. He understood that progress is invisible until one day it's undeniable. When you rebuild, the world won't clap for you. Not at first, and that's your test. Can you keep going when no one notices? Can you believe in your process before it's visible? That's how self-trust is forged. Because when you stop living for outcomes, you start living for integrity, and integrity always outlasts applause. Lesson 3. Forgive your past. You can't rebuild on a foundation of resentment. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's structural reinforcement. It releases the emotional weight that cracks your internal architecture. Think of your mind like a house that's been through storms. Some rooms are flooded with regret. Others collapsed under guilt. You can't just paint over that damage. You have to clear it out, one emotion at a time. Forgiveness is that clearing. It's not about saying, "They were right." It's about saying, "I'm done carrying this." When you forgive, truly forgive, you make space for peace, and that peace becomes your strength. Lesson 4. Move daily, even when it's small. Rebuilding isn't a grand leap, it's a rhythm. Some days you'll sprint, other days you'll crawl. But what matters is that you move. Discipline is the bridge between intention and transformation. Elon Musk once said, if something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you. He wasn't talking about rockets. He was talking about resilience. Every small action is a declaration. I haven't given up on me. Brush your teeth. Make your bed. Go for that walk. Not because it changes the world, but because it changes your energy. It rebuilds your sense of agency. The quiet reminder that you still have power. That's how you rise. One simple act of self-loyalty at a time. But here's where many fall back. You start strong. You meditate. You journal. You work out. And then life happens. Distractions sneak in. Doubt creeps back. You lose focus. You think you failed. But that's not failure. That's the rhythm of transformation. Every builder faces collapse before completion. It's not about never falling. It's about never abandoning the rebuild. There will come a moment, and maybe you've already felt it, when all your progress feels invisible, when your effort feels like dust scattered by wind, when the voice in your head whispers, what's the point? This is the storm, the test, the shadow every soul walks through on the road. Back to itself, you look around and feel like everyone else is miles ahead, their lives shinier, their path straighter, their confidence louder, and you'll start doubting your quiet consistency, your slow rebuilding, your unseen hours. You'll ask, why am I still here? Why haven't I changed enough yet? Let me tell you something. Few will. The moment you ask those questions, you are changing, because doubt is not the opposite of transformation. Disbelief is proof that the old self is dying, and the new one hasn't yet found its voice. That's what growth feels like. Silence, confusion, uncertainty. The cocoon doesn't look like progress from the outside, but inside, the old form is dissolving to make space for wings. So when the storm comes, don't panic. You're not regressing. You're recalibrating. Every storm in your life has two purposes: to strip you and to strengthen you, to remove what's not essential and reveal what's indestructible. It hurts. It always will. But if you stay centered, if you keep your focus on you, the storm eventually bows to your stillness. You'll realize something powerful. You can't control when the wind stops, but you can control how you breathe through it. That's what focus really is. Not perfection, not constant motivation, but an unbreakable return. Every time your mind drifts toward worry, comparison, regret, bring it back. Every time you think about what they think, bring it back. Every time you're tempted to prove yourself, bring it back. Back to you, back to your breath, back to your path. You rebuild yourself not in grand moments of inspiration, but in these quiet returns, because self-focus isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's how you learn to give from overflow instead of emptiness. It's how you finally realize that your peace is not negotiable. And maybe one day someone will ask, what changed? And you'll smile softly, because you'll know nothing outside changed. You did. Let's go deeper into that. Rebuilding yourself means you stop waiting. Waiting for apologies. Waiting for closure. Waiting for life to get easier. You stop waiting and you start creating. You take ownership of your energy, your mornings, your mindset. You stop waking up hoping for a better day, and you start building one. And here's the beautiful irony. The moment you stop chasing what you can't control, everything that's meant for you begins to move closer, because peace is magnetic, clarity is magnetic. Self-respect is magnetic. The universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to alignment. You've been taught to hustle for happiness, but happiness is what appears when you stop hustling and start healing. So how do you rebuild yourself? Practically, emotionally, spiritually. Every day you do it through devotion, not discipline. Discipline says, I must. Devotion says, I choose to. When you act out of devotion, devotion to your peace, your purpose, your potential, your life begins to flow instead of fight. You wake up and breathe deeper. You listen more than you talk. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You learn the art of quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. And that's when the real rebuilding happens. When you stop proving and start living. When you stop seeking and start becoming. Let's return to the image we began with. That morning, you woke up feeling empty. The you who stared at the ceiling, whispering, I can't live like this anymore. That version of you didn't die. They evolved. They were the first spark in the rubble. The one who said, there must be more. You didn't realize it then, but that whisper was your rebirth. And every day since, every small act of self-care, every moment you chose peace over drama, silence over noise, presence over performance, you've been rebuilding that spark into a flame. And look at you. Now you're still standing, still growing, still choosing you, even on days when it hurts. That's power. That's progress. Sometimes rebuilding yourself doesn't look strong. It looks soft. It looks like crying without shame, like saying, I need rest, like stepping back from people who drain you, like starting over again and again until it finally sticks. Strength isn't loud. It's patient. It's not about showing the world you're fine. It's about being real enough to admit when you're not, because every time you honor your truth, you reclaim a piece of your soul. You see, rebuilding isn't just about healing the damage. It's about rediscovering the design. It's about remembering who you are beneath everything you've been taught to be. You are not your mistakes. You are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are the architect, the builder, and the home, all in one. You've always had the blueprint within you. You just needed silence long enough to hear it. And once you do, something magical happens. You begin to protect your peace like it's priceless. Because it is. You stop explaining your path to people who haven't walked your pain. You stop needing everyone to understand you because you understand yourself. And from that place, your energy changes. Your presence changes. Even your face begins to carry a different calm. Not the calm of someone untouched by chaos, but the calm of someone who found balance inside it. People will sense it. They won't know what changed, but they'll feel it. That quiet, grounded energy that can't be faked. You'll smile more. You'll breathe easier, and the world will mirror back the peace you found within. But even then, even after all this growth, you'll still face moments of doubt, days where the old patterns whisper, come back, it's easier here, and you'll be tempted, because the old self doesn't disappear. It lingers, waiting for moments of weakness. That's okay. It's part of being human. Just remember, awareness is power. You can't fall asleep in the same illusions once you've awakened to your truth. You might stumble, you might lose focus, but you'll never lose yourself again, because now you know what it feels like to be home. So when that voice returns, the one that says you're not enough, you're too late, you're behind, breathe, smile softly and say, I'm rebuilding. That's enough. And if you ever forget how far you've come, close your eyes, feel your heart beat. That rhythm inside you, that's life saying, I'm still with you. You are not a failure. You are a work of art in progress, a masterpiece sculpted by resilience. Every scar is a signature. Every setback is a story. Every time you rose again, that was you proving you were worth rebuilding. And one day, maybe not soon, but eventually, you'll wake up, and the first thing you'll feel isn't dread or worry or lack. It will be peace. Not perfect peace, but enough to make you exhale and whisper, I'm okay. I'm proud of me. That's the quiet victory, the invisible reward for all the unseen effort. You won't need to announce it. You'll carry it in the way you walk, in the way you speak, in the way you treat others. Your peace will speak louder than your words ever could, because when you focus on you, truly, consistently, you stop fighting for attention. You start radiating it. The light doesn't need to prove it's bright. It just shines, and so will you. Now, before we end, let's come full circle. Think of your life as a structure, once fragile, now fortified. Every heartbreak was a hammer, every failure a foundation pour, every disappointment a layer of steel. You were never falling apart. You were being reforged, and the world that once broke you will one day admire the strength you built from the pieces. So, as you move forward from this moment, make yourself a quiet promise. Each day, I will return to me. Each day, I will focus on my peace, my growth, my truth. Each day, I will rebuild, no matter how slowly, no matter how imperfectly, because every day spent focusing on you is a day you come home. And home isn't a place, it's a presence. It's you, grounded, whole, enough. So breathe, start again, rebuild again. The world can wait, your soul cannot. And if you ever forget what to do next, just whisper this to yourself: let my focus be on me every day, because I am the project, I am the purpose, I am the masterpiece in progress. You've already begun. Keep going.